Hello, everyone. Welcome to Study Hall. I am your host, Agent Boomer, and with me is my co-host, Troy Pacelli.
Yeah, that sounded good. I was able to hear the bell and everything. So whatever you did, that was good.
I cranked it all the way up, but the trouble is if I leave it all the way up, then we get the echo. So then I lowered it right away.
That's the way
These
to
are the
go.
wonderful technical details behind the scenes you're getting here right now. Should any of you ever want to go into the wonderful world of a live streaming instead of being comfortable in the chat,
It's duct tape and baling wire on this side, I swear.
I was just thinking, I miss the old days of being in the chat and just being able to, make my little comments and get people going. Now I'm on the other side of it, and it's
right.
Not, yes, okay.
Well, and let's face it, if we were live in front of people, ringing a bell would just be ringing a bell. There'd be there's some technology in here we got to kind of work our way around. So anyway.
So we just came from a stream on Troy's channel. You can check it out. He was talking about the Mandalorian finale and also other things about the Mandalorian. So if
and a lot of spoilers over there. So that's why we wanted to separate it out. Also, some very tense subjects for some people. So I was hoping that you could focus your ire on myself rather than Agent Boomer, which at least 3 of you already have. So never got thumbs down before, so I must be doing something right.
Oh, I thought you said I was getting ire. Okay, but anyway.
No, I am, yeah.
I am I don't know. I am not the Star Wars nut that I mean, I like Star Wars, okay. I'm more of a casual fan of it. I have seen all the movies. I even watched Rebels. I never got around to watching the Clone Wars animated series.
That's kind of backwards to watch Rebels and not Clone Wars. Usually it's the other way around.
Well, I didn't bother because they didn't bother finishing it. And I was like, I'll just start over with Rebels and I don't know.
And then they put out another season of Clone Wars.
I had issues with Rebels. I had things I liked about Rebels and I had things I had issues with it. As always,
nothing's perfect.
With Star Wars, yes.
Nothing is perfect. I think we're starting to find, and people will make that point about a lot of our favorite franchises. We tend to have rose-colored glasses when we look back on the things we love, but you look back and it's like, yeah, there were some things that, Batman was great, but yeah, those movies weren't so great. And Star Trek was great, but yeah, those movies weren't so good. And, nothing's perfect.
Nope, nothing's perfect. But let's see. Here we are. We have some news to talk about tonight. My headline tonight was, I put these all because they were short. It was Home Alone remake, Firefly reboot, Super Nintendo World. Those were the short ones. But
I know it seems like you're bearing the lead on this because we have the bigger topics are front loaded and those are kind of the
what were the bigger topics? I think I mentioned it in the description. I said join myself and PaPa Pacelli for Study Hall. Tonight we'll discuss the latest in the streaming wars, Wonder Woman 84 box office failure in China, and other fun news because everything's actually Super Nintendo. Maybe we'll save that for last because that's more, or at least toward the end.
So should we start out with our weekly Hollywood Apocalypse update?
This is the Warner Media
Wars update. Yeah. So Warner Brothers is taking. Well, we talked about it a little bit last week, but the fallout is starting to happen.
Oh, before we do this, let me. I got to greet everyone in the chat. See, I did it on the previous stream, and I think do it on this one. Because we just did it. Okay, Brian Gilmartin, welcome. Matthew Flynn, Leia Plus Size, Casey Scott, Matt Anui, Melissa Harris, Netters Network. Hi, Nanette. Auditor Dread, Casey Scott, maybe I said him already. I think I said Jedi Masters Utopia, Leia Plus Size. Anyone else who I might have missed, I apologize, but welcome to the chat. And now we're going to get to our first story of the night. Let's pretend we're saying it again for the first time.
And Nanette waved.
Okay.
Just, you can't see that, but I just thought I'd share. So first article. Yeah. So Warner Brothers is getting a lot of heat, as I expected. Well, we actually saw some of it last week when we first broke the story. Well, we didn't break the story, but when we first shared it with you all, a lot of people not happy with Warner Brothers, and that fallout has continued this week. Yep.
Yeah, people are not happy. Denzel Washington's name was mentioned.
Yep.
But let me see. Why make such a sweeping move for the full year? That's all people are saying. Will people return to theaters? Oh, those are my questions on the article. Okay.
Yeah. No, those are all excellent points. And I think those are some of the questions that I think people in the industry are making. You know, what do you know that we don't, that you have just decided now for all of 2021 that you're not going to release anything in theaters? It's all going to your streaming service. Well, the Midnight's Edge guys, we talked about it last week. I dropped the link last week. Go back to that video for that reference. But they were like, huh? They're doing it because they can afford to do it. They can afford to take a loss for the year if it means building up their streaming service and trying to get in with the big guys. Problem is, they've made some really bad missteps that would have already had them in the big leagues with the big boys if they'd combined their different streaming services right from the get-go. But be that as it may, that seems to be why they're doing it. But it has pissed off the industry, and it's definitely pissed off the theater chains and people that wanted to go to the cinemas. You know, nobody wanted to see the cinemas, you know, go out of business. You know, neither the viewing public nor the people in the industry. But Warner Brothers decided it, and everyone is standing there holding the bag going, what are you doing?
Now, I know that there was a quote from the article I liked. I'm going to read it to you. Those who come from the digital world believe the revolution is here and that every movie will stream day and date. They cheerfully dismiss industry players like Christopher Nolan, who say the Warner's move will destroy the business model that supports film, as Luddites who are resisting the streaming future. But throughout industry history, other outsiders have also had a dangerous tendency to imagine that Hollywood insiders are stupid. It usually ends badly for them.
That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point. Look, you know, I agree that Hollywood does a lot of stupid things. There's a lot of things Hollywood's doing that I don't agree with, but they're not all complete idiots. You know, there are business people in there going, this isn't how this works. This isn't how any of this works, you know? And there's other people that are idiots that are panicking and doing stupid stuff. I'm talking about Warner Brothers, in case you didn't know. You know, I mean, you know, and I heard it. I've heard it about every big business trend, right? The people that panic end up losing their shirts. The people that keep their heads end up making big money on the deal, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I made a point though. I don't get why everyone right now is making a big deal out of streaming. I mean, I guess in my opinion, is it such a far cry from premium cable channels I had growing up, at least stuff like HBO Max or Disney Plus, okay? I know it's instantaneous, but the premium channels in the old days, they had exclusive programming. They would have exclusive movies on there after they've been released theatrically and on video.
Right.
And they're treating this as, I mean, the only difference is you can get to access everything all at once, and of course, not in the case of HBO Max, where you only get it for 30 days and then it goes to the other services.
Let me ask you this question, Boomer. If you could sell, let's say you sold cheeseburgers, okay? And you sell a cheeseburger, and I come and I buy it from you. You make whatever money I pay for that cheeseburger, and you make that money once. If you could charge me for that same cheeseburger 3 times, would you do it? As a businessman. I'm not asking.
As a corrupt businessman, maybe I would. Okay.
No, and if you could do it and justify it, let me put it that way. If you could sell me that same cheeseburger 3 times, wouldn't you do it?
So, like if I have a clone, like a replicator machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So
yes.
That is what the current business model is with movies. Okay. I release the movie in theaters and you go to see it. I make my money on it. In fact, that's where I make at least my break-even money and my initial profit. Then I put it on a streaming service, either my own streaming service that I'm making money off of, you know, putting content there, or I license it to someone else like Netflix. Either way, I'm making more money on it. So I'm making money twice now. And then after it's been out on that platform for a while, I put it out on DVD and you go and you buy it because now you want to own it. And I make money on it a 3rd time. And Warner Brothers had said, screw all that. I'm just going right to the streaming service and we're not doing any of that other stuff. Okay, well, now none of us are going to be able to ever make the money on the theaters again because they're all going to go out of business. That is taken away that one option for us.
Jedi Masters Utopia makes a good comment. Every actor and director will be seeing their paychecks drop. If movies will no longer make $1 billion, even 50 million, they can say goodbye to the back end deals. And well, most of them can, but we'll have that story later. I'm kidding.
You're right. That is the actor's point of view, and you're absolutely right. That's part of this whole industry, right? The actors are no longer going to make their big. Let's face it. Most of these movies, most of the budget is for the actors. Now, all the studios are going, sorry, we can't afford you now. Now, I've always been arguing that actors are overpaid, and there's less paid, newer talent that is probably better for a lot of these roles. I've oftentimes said, they wanted to cast Paul Newman as Superman, and they cast a complete unknown in Christopher Reeve, right? And now looking back, that would have been a disaster.
Paul Newman?
Yeah.
I just watched The Towering Inferno recently, and I'm not saying he was middle-aged, at least in that, if I'm being generous. And he's a great actor, don't get me wrong. I love Paul Newman, but I know,
I agree with you, but he had the star name. And now people are going, well, maybe we got to look past the star name and the big price tag and start looking at the budget new talent that auditions and blows us away and is going to be the next big star, which is what we've all been saying all along they should be doing. And now they're being forced to do it, I think. So what Jedi Masters Utopia is saying is absolutely right. They're not going to be able to charge these multi-million-dollar price tags for, minimum effort in a movie so that they can get their name up on the marquee. That's not going to draw any because there is no more marquee.
I love in my notes here. I wrote, I'm getting a headache. Okay. Because I'm trying to analyze what's going on, and something about this whole situation smells. I know the big thing was Denzel Washington said he was blindsided. This was for his movies, The Little Things, that's coming to HBO Max, which I don't even know if I even heard of that one when they made the announcement. Yeah. And I don't think he's getting compensated for what it should have made in the box office.
That's exactly right. A lot of these actors, some actors, many of the smarter actors have learned the lesson from people like the Star Wars actors. James Earl Jones made nothing on Star Wars. He got paid a flat fee. And then when it got popular, he's like, you know what? I want residuals. I want, a percentage. You
want me to be an empire. You better
exactly.
Okay.
And so that's become standard in the industry. People say, I'll take a lower price tag for a percentage of the ticket sales, percentage of residuals and stuff like that. And now the studio Warner Brothers at least, made a unilateral decision that now you're not going to make anything on those. And they're like, and so I'm guessing, let's watch in the next couple months. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of actors don't start suing Warner Brothers for lost revenue. I'm just speculating based on nothing. But let's see what happens with that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have much of a recourse because their livelihood is being threatened. I mean, this, but this whole thing, though, I've been thinking more on it. What was my comments here? I'm seriously wondering this Jason Killer character.
The Jason Killer?
Yeah. I mean, let me see. And they made a point that over at Warner Brothers, from the same article, they were purging just about every exec with ties to the studio's former talent-friendly culture, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is not a long-term plan. Nothing about this feels long-term. I don't know how this can carry on for years with them just, and I'm wondering maybe, why did A&T buy Warner Brothers to begin with? What was the reasoning behind it? Is this? I think did we mention this on Dreams ago about them wanting to like how other house flippers? Is this flipping a movie studio?
Well, I guess you could be more general about it and say, why did Disney acquire Lucasfilm and Marvel Comics? Honestly, I think it falls under what a lot of people have been saying for a long time. Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. They're not actually creating anything anymore. All they know how to do is acquire stuff.
Yeah.
But what's even worse is instead of acquiring it and allowing it to make the money that they're anticipating, which is the whole reason they acquired it in the first place, they start getting involved with it. Messing with, I mean, if you have a Formula One race car and you just start monkeying around under the hood because you got to be sure you win this race and you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to win that race. You're going to muck it up. And that's what these Hollywood execs are doing. They're messing and because they can, and they think who the hell they are. And, well, congratulations. You just after yourself. And I do think that there's a level of panic that's going on the Warner Brothers side. When the stock market crashes, the one that holds on to his stocks and starts buying is the one who's going to make out a lot of money in the long term and get a lot of good deals. The one that starts selling loses their shirt because they panicked. And I think that's what Warner Brothers is doing. They've panicked, but they're causing the run on the bank, so to speak. I'm speaking in metaphor here.
Right.
They're causing the run on Hollywood, so to speak, and the rest of Hollywood is going, what the heck are you doing? And if
I'm hoping that's the case.
And I'm hoping, and everyone's looking at Disney because Disney's the next big one. If Disney goes in on this, that really is the end. And that is the run on the bank that's going to destroy the cinema. But
I would be surprised if Disney did this. I mean, I know they're doing it with a couple movies like that one coming out called Soul, because I think that was originally going to be a theatrical release. Now it's just going to Disney Plus. But I think for the most part, I think they want to keep the theatrical model around because they can sell you the burger 3 times, as you said. Okay,
I agree with you. I think that what they're doing is Disney seems to be the things that they're putting directly to streaming are things they know aren't going to do that well to begin with anyway. I think they knew that Soul probably didn't have a great deal of earning potential. They definitely knew that Mulan didn't. They thought it would do better in China than it did. But they knew it wasn't going to do too well. I think, maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I think they know more than we oftentimes give them credit for. But there's still some movies that they're holding on to that they haven't released because they are hoping to release them in theaters. I think you're absolutely right. I could be wrong. You could be wrong. We could hear, in the next couple of weeks, Disney just follows Warner Brothers and collapses. But I'm not so sure. If I was going to guess, I'd say no. I'd agree with you, Boomer.
Yeah. And Matthew Finn says cinema experience is a unique one. And there's a clicking coming from somewhere. I apologize, Netter. That was my stupid cord on my headset that was waving back and forth. And I was like, where is that coming from? And it was my headset. Okay. So
I kept looking down at my cord because I thought it was me.
No, I kept thinking, what is that? And then why does it keep never did this before? So I don't know what's going on. But
behind the curtain.
Yes.
Duct tape and baling wire.
So I'll have to edit out Troy's wonderful comments. I'm kidding. No, I don't know. There's probably a way to go in there. I'm not a sound expert and
actually you can make that its own little 2-minute clip of our bloopers reel or whatever.
Just the clicker, the clicking. But I'm trying to think though. But I'm something about this whole thing smells. I think another problem though with this with the HBO Max is that Warner Brothers. They didn't like Disney had all these series planned for their streaming platform.
Yeah.
What did HBO Max have? I mean, they had the stuff on their DC thing, which I guess went kapooey.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of insiders are saying. They didn't have the content. So we assumed they were going to be ramping up over a long period of time. And somebody decided to press the button when they weren't ready. So congratulations, you're going live with nothing.
I think they didn't have a choice because Disney was ramping up, and like that one video we watched a while back, if they're not, you're not even a contender yet. You got to throw yourself into the race,
I get that, but I mean, for crying out loud, they're banking on, they're announcing, the Snyder cut. Now they're talking about a new cut of Man of Steel, or maybe it was Batman versus Superman.
No, it was Justice League.
No, Justice League is the Snyder Cut, but now they're talking about Batman versus Superman too.
Of course, they could make that an eight episode series. They could have done that with, I think, Blade Runner 2049. I forget what the original cut of that movie had. I think it was hours and hours long, and they had to power it down. But they won't do that with that though, because I don't think it was popular enough.
But again, this is all talk. This is what we're planning to do. But they don't have anything filmed. They don't have anything put together. They don't have anything ready to go right now. So I don't know. So what content do they have? Well, everything we're planning to release in 2021. We'll just drop that on it.
And they're blaming it on the pandemic, but a lot of people are calling BS on that because of the whole because they're saying, the vaccine's coming eventually. People, probably by the spring, people will be able to go back to theaters as normal, provided the theaters are still there. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
And who knows if people are going to get back into old habits after we've been through what we've been through. Okay. That's another thing I'm wondering. Even if the theaters open up again and they say it's safe to go, are people going to be in the habit of going to movie theaters? I don't know.
Let's face it. Yeah. Even if they removed all restrictions right now, you have half the population believing that, this is the end of the world. I shouldn't leave my fallout shelter.
Right. So I don't know, but I don't know. Denzel Washington was upset. Gal Gadot is not as upset, but we'll have more on that later. Okay. Because I realize it tied into an article in the future though, but I really hated that quote though about being Luddites. I'm sorry. You're not a Luddite and it's not like I'm against streaming. Okay.
Right.
I'm fine with original content on streaming. Okay. Or even watching older stuff that hasn't been available anywhere else. I have a problem with them getting rid of the theatrical experience because I like getting out of my house and going to a movie, and I like getting out of my house and doing other things.
I'll go one better on you. I would say, even if you take out the theater element of it, I am not going to buy every freaking streaming service. This would be like calling me a Luddite when I haven't bought a VCR during the Betamax VHS race. I am not going to invest until I know how this is going to turn out. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Betamax was superior.
It was. I mean, from a technical standpoint, everything that I've heard, that's true. There were some minor things that VHS had in its favor, but they were the things that made it a value. You couldn't put 6 hours of video on one Betamax, but if you did that on a VHS, it was poor quality. But if you just wanted to record your shows and watch them and didn't care what the quality was, you wanted that VHS. And honestly, that's part of why VHS won. But you're right. Number of heads, sound quality, all of that. Betamax absolutely was, and more compact on your shelf. It was definitely better. But that's, people that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We're seeing a lot of the same elements happening in these streaming wars. And the people that have been there before go, okay, let's see how this, I'm not subscribing to anything yet until I know how this turns out. A lot of people are still saying, you know what? A lot of these people that are starting streaming services are going to go bust, and they're going to turn around. They're going to start licensing out their stuff to somebody else, and whoever that someone else is, that's who will subscribe to later on. You saw CBS All Access is closing up and going to Paramount because of the merger there. So there's your first one. And now there's a rumor that Paramount is going to start sending Star Trek over to Netflix. We'll talk more about that in the future as we get more information about that. Just throwing that out there for y'all.
Gotcha. Artificer Joni says Blade Runner 2049 has hours worth of extra footage, huh? Actually, I was a little mistaken. I apologize. The original cut was 4 hours long. Okay. Yeah. So not hours and hours, but that's still pretty long. You might be able to get a 4 or 5 part series out of that, right?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, let's face it. I've got the complete original Blade Runner that's got 3 different versions and all the extra footage and stuff, and you could have whole different movies that way. And
Oh yeah.
I don't really see a problem with that. If I can own them all, I'm happy with that. If I can have the version with the voiceover and I can have the one without the voiceover and the alternate ending, I'm good with that. And then I can decide which one I like better.
I'm trying to think which movie I have that has the most versions. I think Dawn of the Dead, because they released like a version of that. Came in 3 different versions.
Well,
and apparently,
was it Dawn of the Dead or no? It was the original Night of the Living Dead that fell into public domain. So you can have a whole bunch of different versions of it.
Yeah, and there have been, but some were colorized. Yay,
and some are better than others. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but apparently Dawn of the Dead had a ton of had a bunch of different versions around the world. Like Japan had their own version. Europe, of course, had their version. The United States had theirs. So it was an interesting time. We don't get as many alternate cuts of movies these days, do we?
Which is why, again, it's worthwhile to have physical media. I just referenced the 3 DVD set of, or maybe it's 4 DVD set of Blade Runner. All the other Blu-rays and DVDs out there that have alternate endings, outtakes, collections and stuff. Your Lord of the Rings that has the 20 discs of one movie and you could watch it all weekend, or I don't know. I'm probably exaggerating, but you get the gist of it. Now they're putting it on their streaming service, and great. I can watch, a 6-hour mini series of the Justice League, but I'd really rather own it if I care that much about it,
Yeah. I mean, I want that cut of The Godfather, the original. Yeah. I'm going to mute myself. I got a cough. Hold on.
But Aged Boomer, streaming war is just cable TV all over again. So yeah, cable TV is the other thing. This is it's VHS, it's cable, satellite, and now it's become streaming. But what's been the constant through all of those things? The cinema. Everyone wants to say cinema's done, but there's too many people that have been going to the cinema that are saying, no, it's not, or at least we don't want it to be. You call them Luddites if you want, but that's where the money is, and just as we were talking about with VHS and Betamax, the best technology doesn't necessarily win out. It's a business decision, not necessarily what's actually the best item.
No, Jedi Masters Utopia says the theater experience will return if people decide they want to return after the vaccine. If Disney makes a ton of money holding Black Widow for theaters, then Warner Brothers will rethink their strategy. I mean, this brings to mind what happened with Tenet, though. Now, I think I don't know if that's the reason why Tenet didn't do well. I know that Warner Brothers basically said, oh, that's the reason. It's because, theaters are done. That's probably what they were saying secret in meetings, okay?
I really don't know. I don't really believe that Tenet was ever going to be as big a thing as people seem to be saying in the media. I mean, it was a Nolan thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Nolan's just a little bit full of himself. I don't think he's as big a draw as people, and he's not as big a draw as he used to be.
I'll say this: Nolan is still a draw for me. I know people even in our community are mixed on him. I really liked, I remember I watched that one, the space one with Matthew McConaughey. I want to say it was Inner Space, but it wasn't Inner Space. Interstellar. Okay, yeah. And I don't know. I enjoyed that one, but again, like I said, maybe.
I mean, and I did that rewatch of Memento. I think it's a brilliant movie. I think that might be his
best movie. Yeah,
I'm even going to say that his Batman movies were good.
Yeah, I enjoyed them.
Not the best Batman movies in my opinion, but they had great elements to them. Great directing, great writing. I don't think he should be doing genre films, though. I think he should just do his own thing. Now, Tenet, maybe it's very good, but I didn't really have much interest in it. There wasn't anything that I saw that grabbed me on it. So I'm guessing there's other people out there that were like me on that.
Oh, yeah. Leia Plus Size says, I saw Tenet, and it was not as good of a film as people were telling me. He missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what you just had up of Leia Plus Size, she said, putting all their eggs in one basket. That's a big problem with business. You diversify. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. So again, I think that supports my premise that Warner Brothers is panicking and making bad decisions. But I want to go back to what that previous comment you said, was it Jedi Masters Zetopia, who said, let me back up and see if I can find it again. The theater experience will return if people decide they want to return. That's absolutely true. So just because whatever the big chains are go out of business doesn't mean it's dead. If people want there to be theaters, if there is a, that's again capitalism, right? If there's a need, someone will invest and fill that need, right? So if people want to go back to the movie theater, someone will open a cinema and they'll start making money. And if there's just a few theaters and they're selling out, more people will open those theaters.
I kept thinking that Disney was going to want to start their own chain of theaters, but they probably don't have the capital for that.
I was just going to say, I don't think they have the capital, and they probably don't even have the credit to extend, so yeah. So what we talked about a month ago, where we were speculating that maybe these studios will start opening up their own theaters, that seems less likely now, because nobody can afford to do that now. Everyone's hurting too bad.
Okay. But we will follow up on this later because we have a Wonder Woman story that I think ties into this as well.
Absolutely.
But let's see.
Or do you want to stay on Disney right now?
Oh, yeah. We're going to stay on Disney, actually. Let's stay on Disney. Hold on.
Which one?
I'm all over the place. Home Alone.
So we were just talking.
Look! I just heard thunder behind me. As I said that.
So
someone's not pleased. Anyway,
okay. we've just been talking about how Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. They can't make their own stuff. All they know how to do is make remakes. And then Disney's talking about reimagining Home Alone. And there has been a backlash from the fans going, "You are idiots. No, don't do it."
Now let's give it a fair shot. Okay. I tell you can't post the link to the article anymore because of certain things.
But, darn it. You're right. I can't.
No. Okay. That's okay though. We got this from.
So this comes from Insider.com.
Yeah, Insider.com, and Home Alone fans are not too pleased. But this is going to star Archie Yates, Ellie Kemper, and Rob Delaney.
I forgot. I can post links in StreamYard. So,
yeah, if you can, but don't go.
There we go.
Or am I supposed to do it? Okay.
Let me know. Are you guys seeing that?
I'll let you know in a minute if I see anything. All right. But anyway, let's get back to this though.
But as a side note, anybody in the peanut gallery, please let me know if you can see the link that I just dropped.
Yeah, I'll look too. Hold on.
Okay.
But Home Alone fans are calling out Disney for its quote unquote reimagining of the beloved 90s film. Not everything needs a remake.
Yep. No, Matanui and Nanette both said it. So even dropping it in
StreamYard won't work. Well, that's okay. But that's the thing of the article. Libby Torres wrote the article. Okay, I want to give credit where credit's due.
Okay.
But Home Alone fans are calling out Disney Plus for its coming reboot of the beloved 1990 comedy.
I dropped it in private chat. That's why. That's my fault. That's not YouTube.
Okay.
I'm an idiot.
All right. Now I do like Ellie Kemper. If I were to think of a modern Catherine O'Hara, maybe her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was on that Netflix series, which I never watched, The Unbearable Kimmy Schmidt, I think, or is that the name of the show?
I have no idea. I don't know.
We'll strike that from the conversation. Okay, because I think I got the title wrong. But I love all the little comments here from looks like from Twitter. Heard they are remaking Home Alone, and like, why? The original is perfect. Not everything needs a remake.
Right.
Why is Disney doing a remake of Home Alone? Please stop doing remakes, you corpse shell of a company. Yep. Okay, yikes. Someone's not happy.
Because they are creatively bankrupt. It used to be that, the Disney Imagineers were very creative and made great stories and had great talent, and they don't anymore. So now you just have a bunch of hacks going, hey, this thing we did 10 years ago was real popular. Let's make a live action version of that will do moderately well.
Like the live action version of Lady and the Tramp, they did.
Did they really?
They did. It's supposed to be terrible. It was a Disney Plus exclusive. I want to think that was one that was supposed to go to theaters, and then somebody looked at it and said, nope, you're putting it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl, I think, ran into the same issue.
Probably for the best.
People were furious because they're big fans of that book series, and they said that Disney butchered it. But Let's see though. Can Home Alone work in 2020? Remember when Home Alone was made? Were cell phones common?
Yeah, see, there's an excellent point. I mean, you had cell phones, and you also had this whole, and I think it was Skipper Kenner, who's often in the chat. He's in the Professor Geek group, and he dropped a comment about Home Alone. The speculation, and you've probably heard this fan theory that Macaulay Culkin's character from Home Alone grew up to be the bad guy in Saw. And there's like a whole video about it that someone did. Nobody takes it seriously, but it's and he's like, and he never called the police when he could have. And I'm like, he didn't call the police because he was home alone. If he had done that, the jig would be up. He's like, exactly. I'm like, no, that's not what I meant, but okay. Yeah. But there's that whole Home Alone element and, the child abuse and no. There's all kinds of things that would come out these days about that. But you're right. Even something as simple as calling mom's cell phone. Mom, you forgot me. Oh, shoot. Turn around. Do we have time? Well, if we miss the flight, we miss the flight. We can't leave one of our kids behind. And that's the whole movie. The show's over, right?
It'd be funny if it was like 10 minutes long and then they just have a
actually
time in France.
That would be a great one. They bill it as the remake of Home Alone, Disney Plus exclusive, and they release it and it's a 5-minute movie and it's just that. That would be hysterical.
I used to have these things I did in my head, like I guess I would argue this would be subverting expectations, and like we were watching this. I was watching this PBS mini series about it was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually solving a crime himself, and apparently this was based on a true story. And like the first episode ends with him in this field, and there's this creepy doll, and there are candles lit around it. And I had it in my head that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got back on the train, went back to London, and said, "You know what? That was too intense for me. I never solved that murder, but I just, you know what?" And that would be the end of the story. He just left.
There's this great bit in one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes. The episode's called Blink. Main character goes into a video store where the video guy is distracted by watching a film, and he tells her to wait a moment, and he's looking at the screen and he goes, "Call the police. Why does nobody ever call the police?" And then he turns and talks to her or whatnot. And then what does she do? She goes and she calls the police, who can't help because this is, a Doctor Who thing and not, a police thing. But it's like, yeah, sometimes all it takes is just using your head instead of doing the stupid stuff you see people do in movies once in a while. But yeah, no. Home Alone, I am absolutely not for, and I think the reaction that they're getting is kind of telling them, yeah, you go ahead and you put all your money into this, and take another loss. You can afford that, right, Disney? Dumbasses.
I don't know. Maybe this is going to be exclusive to Disney Plus, though.
I don't know,
because
it should be because nobody's going to want a DVD of it. Nobody's going to go to the theater to see it. May as well throw it out there on your streaming service. Again, I think that's perfectly fine. If you don't think it's going to make any money, great place to put your, filler stuff. And when they get their numbers, they may not release this and tell anyone how it did, but when the executives look and see nobody actually tuned in and watched it, they go, okay, yeah, we're never doing that again, and you're fired. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they could do a home. I don't even want to think about it. I'm trying to think if there would be like a modern spin you could put on it. I don't see it working in modern times unless they decide to set it in the past. Otherwise, what's
the point of making it if you're going to set it in
look just like the 90s movie, okay?
Or you do like the remake of Psycho. You make it shot for shot an exact remake.
There you go. Who's the kid they'll cast? They'll make it a girl this time, or did they already do that one of the scenes?
I think that was, didn't the article say that's what they were doing?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. Jedi Master Soapy
Was
says,
that thunder again?
Did
I
you
thought
hear
I heard
thunder?
thunder again. Yeah.
You might have, or that the stupid chords type again. Okay.
That
With
could be.
streaming services, studios are the driving force in what is getting made, not creatives. The only thing studios care about right now is content, 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 hence a Home Alone remake. Oh, man. This is almost reminding me of the early days of Hollywood. You know, the early days of Hollywood, they would just crank movies out like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how Casablanca got made. But Casablanca was just one of many that they just churned out. I don't know how, some of those probably haven't even survived over the years. But yeah, I don't know. And I did like Wolf 10's comment up here, the one about Home Alone 3. Did you see Home Alone 3?
You know, I might have done, but those sequels were so bad, I don't really remember them.
I didn't have a problem with 2. I thought 2 was fair enough. I mean, you could argue
that one brought back Joe Pesci and the other guy, right?
Yeah, it had Joe Pesci in it and Daniel Stern. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the actor's name. And to be fair, Home Alone 3 did things a bit more realistic that time around. That was with it didn't take place at Christmas time, and it did involve thieves. I think it involved international spies, and it didn't have Macaulay Culkin in it.
It did?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay, it didn't.
If it did, that might have been interesting. Like he's working.
Actually, oh yeah, and see that would be clever. You know, see if you can get Macaulay Culkin back. What's he doing now? Maybe he's working for a security firm. That would be brilliant. You know,
that would be funny. Like he runs into the wet bandits again.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be
he's a security guard at a department store or something?
And then there has to be that moment where after they've been getting beat up and goofed around, and you know they suddenly see him, they go, "You," and he goes, "You."
That could be it. Like a kid gets locked in a department store on Christmas Eve or something, right?
Yeah.
And the parents don't know where he is, and then Macaulay's going to try, but then they do something with the communication. I don't know. I've already come up with a better movie than I think this is.
I think you're absolutely right. Again, this is another one of those things where nobody listens to us, but the fans come up with better stuff than they actually put out.
And then the wet bandits are finally out of prison again, and of course they're trying to rob a department store or something, and then it's and the kid helps Macaulay Culkin stop the burglars or something. Oh, that'd be funny. It'd be like a passing of the torch thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. And then the overnights. I don't know. That'd be funny.
I could even see this as, you know, the kid gets left in the thing. The security guy, Macaulay Culkin, finds him. Hey, stay with me, kid. I know what it's like when, you know, you get lost and you get left behind or whatever. You know, I mean, something like that. I mean, yeah. That could be really good. Oh my gosh, really.
There's a wonderful poster. I think I posted in the Professor Geek group, but there was a poster and it was Home Alone, Road to Forgiveness. And and sometimes the worst traps are the ones you keep around your heart or something. It was something like that. And I guess it's about them coming to terms and Macaulay asking for forgiveness from the people. I don't know. It's just
wow.
It looked like a Pure Flix movie. It was the funniest.
Hysterical. Yeah.
And I'm like, it was. Oh man!
And if these movies, if they would do these kinds of things and make real movies, you know, not taking themselves too seriously, you know, just instead of doing remake after remake, it's like, why would I want to see that? I already have that movie on my DVD shelf. You know, give me something new. Okay, fine.
Oh, this is
go ahead and make it. See what happens.
Sarah says instead of being arrested, Mary and Harry come get their dads and take them, the wet bandits, to the old folks' home. Oh, that's funny.
Oh gosh, right? Yeah, exactly.
They broke out. Please don't press charges. They do this every so often. I mean,
yeah, that's funny. That's actually pretty good too.
Oh man!
My gosh!
Old now that they're old, I'm feeling old. Okay, this is making me depressed now.
Well, you are aged boomers.
So I know. Anyway, though, I loved Home Alone when that came out. In fact, Home Alone stream this Tuesday night on Soundtracks with Birdman. I'll be there with them. We're going to go at 8:30.
So is Home Alone a Christmas movie, or is it a movie that takes place at Christmas?
No. It is a Christmas movie.
It's kind of like Die Hard on a kid level in his own house, though.
It is, but it is more infused. I'm not going to have this argument, but I'm saying. You're talking to the guy that just watched Wild Card recently with Jason Statham beating up people in Vegas on Christmas Eve, okay? I would argue that's a Christmas movie. Okay.
I've never seen it. I don't know.
That's actually, if you ever get it, that's a funny movie. I don't know. It's Jason Statham in Vegas, and he's he's like being chaperoned to some tech guru who's like a nerdy guy, and like he's beating up guys on like around Christmas time to the tune of that White Christmas song that was in the Home Alone movie too, and it's like so inappropriate. Like this is like the most not un-Christmassy.
I like Wolfie's in the chat. It is a Christmas movie. You know, I don't care one way or the other. I just like tweaking Aged Boomer and Al on this whole thing. I'll make every movie. Is it a Christmas movie, or does it just take place at Christmas? You know? Yeah, exactly. But anyway,
okay.
So, are you excited about Captain Marvel 2?
Oh man, we got to cover that article, don't we? Did I write anything down for that? Let's see.
So here's how I'm doing it, everybody. I'm giving you the title of the article with attribution of where it came from. If you were to just copy that and do a search, you'd be able to find the Bounding into Comics article about this. Okay. Because it turns out I can't post. I can only post in private chat. I
felt this article was a little baiting myself. But
okay,
we'll go ahead and go with it. Okay. Captain Marvel 2 director Nia DaCosta calls critics of franchise cowards. Okay. Well, she wrote in a tweet, "Tag me, you cowards." Okay. Yeah. Then later on, she claimed she was joking. Okay.
Yeah. What was the context that she was calling it?
Oh, hold on. Look that up. Hold on. Yeah. Let's see. The context was.
Hey, let's face it. Movie makers and critics certainly have that, kind of a. Antagonistic relationship. They always have.
They have, and let me see.
But I'll be honest with you, if modern Hollywood people would listen to both critics and the fans a little bit more, with just a tiny drop of humility, they might actually start making better movies that would make more money. Just saying.
Well, this used to be a thing back in the day. Like when a movie came out and was bad. Mm-hmm. People could admit it was bad, and people and the Hollywood execs would listen. They'd move on. It wasn't. Now it's like fire and brimstone. Okay, if you admit any movie is not good, that I guess goes against the narrative. But let me see. Marvel Studios has Brie Larson returns as Carol Danvers in Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel 2, directed by Nia DaCosta. Joining the cast are recently announced Ms. Marvel, Iman Vellani, and Monica Rambeau, played by WandaVision's Teyonah Paris. So I guess was the child we saw in the first Captain Marvel movie. Now she's older, okay, and because obviously time has gone by. And she wrote a response to the tweet, and she wrote, "Tag me, you cowards." So I don't know. And then she writes later, tweeted this and was like, "Oh no, what people don't know, I'm joking," and then crying. So maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. What do you think? I don't know. Okay.
I'll tell you what though. The whole thing about, "Oh no, people don't realize I was joking," sounds a little bit more genuine than, "Oh, I was just joking," I mean, and trying to take it back. I mean, if you really were joking, and that is part of the problem with this medium, right? When you tweet, I don't know what they call it, but when you put stuff on social media in writing, it may not come across as joking if you are joking, especially nowadays when, you got Poe's law and you can't tell what's satire and what's real anymore, so I'd happily give her the benefit of the doubt on that.
Well, I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt on the movie, but
no. I'm just talking about that her initial thing might have been joking.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say because everyone. Let's be blunt here. Social media these days, everyone has their guard up. Okay, they're but okay, but they brought up the Larson quote about where she was arguing about A Wrinkle in Time, about how I don't care about what some 40-year-old white dude thinks about A Wrinkle in Time.
It wasn't made for him. Yeah,
it wasn't made for him. And I always wondered, who is she talking about there? Which film critic was she talking about?
I don't know if she was talking about film because everybody
some guy online. Okay,
everybody took it as people going to see it and people who were commenting on it, not just critics, but like everyone in general, because the problem is a lot of fans took it that way and the movie flopped. And it's like, you do realize that you want young girls to go see it. Who's going to take them to see it but their dads?
Yeah.
That's right. True. So you alienate them and you're done. And, you can argue that's not the case, but numbers don't lie. The movie tanked.
I remember it was just some random guy on, I think, Twitter said a unicorn store, and he's like, it doesn't look good. And then all of a sudden she commented and a firestorm hit this guy, and she's like, and I'm thinking, you're a big movie star. You're a director. You got to move from Netflix. Just ignore this guy.
And what kind of hypocrisy is that? You just get through saying that it's not made for you. I don't care what you think. And then you do this. Well, Unicorn Store wasn't made for him. Why do you care what he thinks?
I'm not sure who Unicorn Store is made for.
Nobody does. Everybody said it sucked, but this guy gets ripped on because he's I guess a white male. I don't know.
I don't know if I was being masochistic that day. I was saying I'm going to watch Unicorn Store.
Did you actually watch it?
I watched it all the way through, and I'm thinking, first 10 minutes, okay, maybe this could be an okay comedy, and I'm watching, and then suddenly it falls fast, It's not.
Is that the one where the meme comes from? I do not have hostile intentions. I have loving intentions, or something like that.
Possibly. I don't know.
She is a meme factory. We got to give her that, right?
It's like a mumblecore movie. It's just.
I love the bit about her YouTube channel where she's I guess she's been doing yoga or something, and she's like the video if you liked it. If you don't, keep your comments to yourself. And it's like, A, that's not how social media works. B, I always say, you don't like what I'm doing, by all means, tell me what you don't like and start a crap storm, and I'll be happy to debate it with you, because the more comments I get, the more action I get, the more the algorithm is helped by interaction.
Yeah.
But her channel's doing so well.
I have not been paying attention. I think you're being sarcastic, though.
I am being sarcastic.
Okay.
Yeah. She got suddenly, enough, within a week, she had enough subscribers to get her plaque or whatever and get monetized. And it's been steadily dropping since.
Yeah. I did see Captain Marvel as well. The stuff happens. Okay. Anyway. Okay.
Stuff happens. That's the quote to take away, everyone, tonight.
Okay.
Stuff happens.
I have some comments on it, though. I made a point that it was attempted to pull 90s nostalgia. You know how 80s nostalgia has been a big thing? I think it was trying to pull on 90s nostalgia, but I think it was made by people that didn't get the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right.
And
I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an old fart, but I feel like the 90s is not far enough back to get nostalgic about. Now, the 80s is what's big with,
the old rule used to
things and stuff.
The old rule used to be that it was 2 decades away. You get nostalgic for the previous decade, but we seem to be going later now. I remembered in the 1970s, it was all 1950s nostalgia. You had movies like Grease. You had movies like Grease. You had movies like the one George Lucas did.
Star Wars. Oh, American Graffiti. I'm sorry.
American Graffiti. What do you?
You say George Lucas. That's the first thing I think.
Happy Days
was Howard a big the deal. Duck. I don't.
I'm just saying, Happy Days was a big hit show too. You had. It was 1950s, 1980s, 1960s nostalgia, definitely. 1980s.
Yeah, Wonder Years and
Wonder Years. You have Platoon, big deal.
You're right.
Deal. A lot of 1960s nostalgia. And then the 90s come along, and I wonder if we really hit that
stuff. There was some 70s stuff. That 70s show.
We had that 70s show in the 90s, yeah. So maybe some 70s show. We had Studio 54, Boogie Nights. Not as much, though. I'm surprised we didn't get as much 70s nostalgia.
I feel like it took us a little too long to get to the 80s, though, because I feel like we're just now really starting to get into it.
It took forever. And I think only because with the success of stuff like Stranger Things and, because they were trying with the 80s, I think even going far back as The Wedding Singer, that Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore movie that was like an 80s nostalgia film. But yeah, But there was so little 80s there, I almost overlooked that it was set in the 80s, I don't even know how you tackle 90s nostalgia. Maybe I should save this topic for next week.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing. I wasn't sure I wanted to broach it, but I'm like, I hear Professor Geek oftentimes talk about the 90s, and I'm like, the 90s were just the 90s. What's to be nostalgic about? It was, but then again, I think you and I, Boomer, fall into that area where the 80s were our formative years. We are nostalgic about
it. To be fair, I'm closer to Professor Geek's age.
Oh,
I just spoiled it. I just spoiled it.
Oh, so I'm the old fart here.
Well, I'm 43, so okay.
Oh, that's right. I'm 49. I'm
coming up. So you're a little older than I am. Actually, what was I going to say though? Talking about getting off on a tangent though, but
yeah, I just gave everybody the big. We just discussed our ages. Now you know how old.
And now everyone's going to yell at me saying you're not a true boomer, and I would argue that the younger generations are calling anyone out of touch a boomer, and that's where my name came from.
That's exactly
my name came from the fact that the whole meme about the 30-year-old boomer, and they're like, I was going to say this in the first stream, never got around to it. The 30-year-old boomer meme where the guy says Quake is a good game, and you know what I said defiantly when I saw the meme? I said Quake was a good game. Okay, it still is a good game, and I wish it would get released on a console I owned. And I'm like, I like those old boomer shooters. Yeah. And then I realize I'm now getting out of touch.
Okay. Speaking of remakes, though, those are the kinds of things where if you remake them with the new engines and stuff, it's basically the same gameplay with better graphics.
They've done that on newer
PCs,
and I'm hoping that stuff makes way to come.
Have you seen the remake of GoldenEye?
No, but I have seen newer versions using the GoldenEye engine. They did one for Spy Who Loved Me.
Yep.
Which I was very excited about because I love that Bond movie. It's kind of cheesy, but it's still my favorite Bond movie. And they did Tomorrow Never Dies in the
Spy Who Loved Me is one of my favorite Bond themes.
Oh yeah, the disco theme or the song?
The song.
Oh, the song. Nobody does it
Charlie
better.
Simon, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I love that song. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Bond movies are a good thing to watch around this time of year, I think.
Right?
Yes. Okay. But in fact, they're all. In case you're interested, Troy, they're all on YouTube.
They are all on YouTube. Yeah, I heard about that.
So you can.
But I need to get the physical media, so I'll work on that.
Well, I know, but if you just want to chill out,
believe it or not, I have all of the Daniel Craig films.
Well, like
just by happenstance, I got them as gifts, and I inherited a couple, and I actually have the whole collection.
I was fine up until Spectre. I realized that there were some issues, but up until Spectre, I thought, okay, we're through Skyfall. I'm going off on a Bond tangent. We'll talk about Bond soon enough, I'm sure. Anyway,
probably
we're talking about Captain Marvel too. You notice how we're avoiding the subject anyway?
Because we just don't care. We're sharing the news with you people, but nobody cares about. What is that meme with Nedry from Jurassic Park? Hey, he's talking about Captain Marvel 2 over here. See, nobody cares.
Oh Lord! Flannel, grunge, and Dawson's Creek reboots. I have no idea why anyone is nostalgic for Dawson's Creek. I
like the theme song.
Yeah,
I don't want to wait for our lives to be
I liked it the first few times, and then it's
yeah, it does kind of get on you after a while.
Oh my goodness! Don't get me started on Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek was a show where I was waiting for something to happen. See, everyone has to understand that back in the old days before the internet, you had television, okay, and you would watch bad television shows, and you would wait for the one good episode, okay. And once in a while, you'd get a good episode. You would wade through all the junk to get that one good episode. I'm talking about wasted youth here, okay? When I should be reading the classics, okay, instead of wasting time on television, okay? And Dawson's Creek is a show where I kept waiting for stuff to happen on, and it never did. And I think I eventually stopped. I think when he got to college, I think around that time I stopped. I think Dawson's was in that weird film school. And yes, I prefer Jen to Joey. Sue me, okay? All right. But anyway,
that was Dawson's
Creek. This is awful. This stream is over. We've ruined it. We talked about Dawson's Creek.
And Casey, I don't even know who he was until he was on Fringe. So,
oh yeah, Joshua Jackson was great on Fringe. Fringe, actually, I'll say, is a good example of a television show that really didn't jump the shark. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, for the most part, it was
about reinventing itself throughout its run,
and it did well with that. And
you all see how I got him back on a geeky streak. I helped bring it back.
You helped bring it back to the geeks. I mean, I actually don't want to. I don't want to ever see them touch Fringe. Leave Fringe alone.
Oh,
where you left it is fine. Let's not do anything else with Fringe, okay? Because
normally J.J. Abrams doesn't know how to end things. His ending to Fringe wasn't perfect, but it was good for him. Leave it alone now. You'll just ruin it.
It was good for him, and I thought it had a solid final season. I mean, I was a little sad it wasn't a full length, but it was long enough to get the story tied up. And I typically, God, I could go on Fringe for an hour. Let's not talk about Fringe. Okay.
We could do a whole separate show about that.
We'll see. Maybe another time. But I did love Fringe. Any of you haven't seen Fringe? You want a nice
that's
TV
available
show to
on
watch?
one of the streaming channels, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's on. Oh no, could it be on HBO Max because it's a Warner Brothers own program?
I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. Anyway, just find it wherever you can, and it was a good.
Yeah, you're right. It's on Amazon Prime for free, so that's not going to help you if you don't have Amazon Prime. But you know, get physical media if you think you might like it. That's all.
Anyway, 90s nostalgia. I don't know if it's a thing yet, but Dawson's Creek. Let's not go. What time do you have?
We're at 9:01.
You know what? It's Christmas week.
We have another hour.
Nonsense. Let's move on from Captain Marvel.
It seems like it's been so long since because we had the pre-show. So
I have one comment here. Okay, hearing this news about Captain Marvel 2, it's now really starting to dawn on me. The MCU might be in trouble. Is anyone
now dawning on you? But that's okay. That's okay.
I was not as negative as some other people. I mean, I had issues. I had a lot of the same issues with Endgame. Yeah. But, I kind of look at it this way. You've had bad comic book runs too, and people pulled it again. But I'm really not liking this now. And I think we're going on to more MCU stuff, which is Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of a slightly different I mean, Spider-Man has always been kind of on the fringe or the edge of the mainline Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there was that big deal that they made a deal with Sony to be able to bring him into the not Endgame, Endgame 2, but into the Thanos storyline or whatever,
the Infinity Gauntlet storyline,
Infinity line, and then Endgame. But now it looks like they have made another deal or they're on the verge of making another deal to I don't know, bring him in and keep him in. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
It's for 3 movies. And what was it? It's going to focus on Peter Parker's college years. He's thinking that he is just too young to be playing Spider-Man at this point, but I know the actor is older. He just seems like maybe it's just his mannerisms in the film too, rather than the actor. But he even seemed old for his age in those movies.
Here's my other concern. I had heard a rumor. Well, but there's a lot of, you know what? I'm gonna preface this with there are a lot of rumors about what's going on with Spider-Man, and none of them can be corroborated. And at this point, I don't know how many of them are legitimate and how many are talking out of their butts. But I have heard a rumor that the storyline for Spider-Man 3, while it will be like a live action version of Into the Spider-Verse, which totally makes sense with everything else we're seeing coming out of Marvel, it's going to end up being the cinematic version of One More Day. Had you heard that rumor?
One More Day. You think they're going to do that?
Well, I was talking with somebody about that recently, and I'm of two minds about that. On the one hand, it seems like a brilliant idea, right? It seems totally in keeping with, and I mean that sarcastically, it seems very much in keeping with what Marvel is doing in their new phase. From everything that's been announced about the new phase of Marvel, it looks like they're going to be drawing from all different Marvel, all the worst storylines that did the worst in the comics, they're adapting.
I'm getting
Marvel,
that impression.
Ms. Marvel, all of that kind of stuff. And if they do the One More Day for Spider-Man, that would just be in keeping with that whole, run of the worst things that they could possibly draw on. However, when you look at what they've done with Spider-Man and MJ, who is not Mary Jane Watson and whatnot, if they were going to reboot him, that is one way to do it. I mean, for anybody who might not know, One More Day was Spider-Man makes a deal with the devil to give up his marriage to Mary Jane, his whole relationship, start over again because Aunt May has died, to bring her back. So and in so doing, he also is getting back his secret identity, which he had given up in the comics. So it turned out to be a mess because, although it reset him having a secret identity, it brings back a character who was so old, if she had died, it would have been a Gwen Stacy type of story that would have been sad but good, and got rid of the actual character development of decades of relationship with Mary Jane. And you're going to start all over again from nothing. That was just stupid and the fans hated it. But now I feel like you still need to do the whole reboot where he gets his secret identity back. Nobody likes the fact that this isn't Mary Jane Watson. This is, fake Sony MJ. If you want to reboot history, it's a way to go, I suppose. But again, it's just a rumor. I don't know. Maybe it's not even true at all. Maybe they continue along this storyline and it's just continues to be MJ, Jake MJ, I suppose. And, he's now got a public identity and he's going off to college and, I don't know. He becomes the new Iron Man. No, we can't do that because we have Ironheart coming. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about all that.
Yeah.
Matanui, you don't want them to do that story? Well, maybe they'll do the Clone Saga.
You like the clones? That was from the 90s, right?
Yeah, it was.
I think I remember that. And then weren't they going to do? They had two different Spider-Man like they're going to stick the clone in the other two Spider-Man lines. Like,
they bollocks it because they originally and every time you completely blow up canon, you piss off fans, and that's just the way it is. And that's what they did. They did a storyline where it turned out that Peter Parker wasn't Peter Parker. He was actually Ben Reilly all along. And Peter Parker's a wife beater. And it's like, everyone was upset about that. And then they backed it off and they said, well, no, it was actually a clone. And so it's not what we said. So the character you love has always been, and he had been temporarily replaced by Ben Reilly. And, nobody liked Ben Reilly, and it was all just a big clusterfuck. It was not well thought through as you would expect from comics from the late 90s on. And it went, let's put it this way. When you say Spider-Man Clone Saga to me, I always think of the Nicholas Hammond, made for TV movie. And personally, I think that was better than the comic book saga.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, it's worth checking out. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube somewhere.
But what was I was going to make a point. You think they're going to bring Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen and all them into Disney Plus or something? They could give them Disney Plus as well.
I don't know what's rumor and what's real because people are making so many jokes about it. They're saying that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming back, and Michael Keaton's coming back, and Jamie Foxx is coming back, and
Alfred Molina.
And then people start saying Nicholas Hammond is coming back, and Tobey Maguire is going to come back as his character from some other franchise because there's no room for him as Spider-Man now. It's just, I don't know, man. The more I hear about Spider-Man, the more I think it's going to be a big clusterfuck.
You know what would have been kind of interesting, actually, because maybe Tobey Maguire is getting older. It might have been interesting to cast him as Norman Osborn. Right? No.
Yeah. It would be hard to find a better casting than Willem Dafoe, though.
Well, that's my point, though. But if you were to recast him, because I know, never mind. Be like him playing the villain instead of anyway. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad idea. I think that's all seeing what sticks. I'm a Hollywood producer. Come on.
This is the same problem. This idea that they got with Spider-Man is the same problem I had with the Crisis on Infinite Earths CW. Why on earth does Superman of that Earth, the Kingdom Come Earth, look exactly like what's his name? Rick Hunter or whatever in the mainline CW universe? Because it's the same actor. And why does Lex Luthor look different in these different universes. I mean, it's like, because in the comic books, you could take someone from Earth 2, bring him in, and he looks exactly like Superman, just older, or the evil one looks exactly like him. You don't know it's not the real Superman or whatever.
Right.
But because they're trying to jam together different actors, I don't know. It's just so stupid. It's another one of those examples where you've changed media. Don't mess with it. Remember the limitations of the media. No, you're idiots. You don't know what you're doing. Here we go again. So why does Spider-Man look like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland? If it's alternate universes, they should all look the same. If they're all Peter Parker, I don't know. This is just ridiculous. I don't know what they're doing. Good luck, Marvel.
Leia Plus Size says, but why reboot Spider-Man? Why can't they just tell us adventures? All this multiverse is a headache to me. Just give me plain Spider-Man. Well,
but that's just the problem. He's kind of not plain Spider-Man. They rebooted him twice, and then they gave us Tom Holland, who might have been Spider-Man, except they decided to give us a younger Aunt May, MJ, who's not MJ, Flash Thompson, who's an overweight Hawaiian kid. I mean, and his friend, not the bully that used to pick on him in high school. I mean, these are not the characters, that Spider-Man grew up with. They're not. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
I can't even speak to any of that. It's all crazy. Anyway. But should we talk about another remake coming up?
Yes, let's see. What do I have
are
here?
We enjoying all this talk about remakes of our favorite?
This is the most interesting. I want to put this one under heavy rumor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is from inside sources. What do we have here? We can't.
This is from Giant Freaking Robot.
Okay.
An exclusive from them that Firefly reboot is coming to Disney Plus. Okay. It's true. They would own the rights to Firefly.
Yes, I guess technically Disney does own the rights to Firefly. Are we all hyped for a possible Firefly reboot on Disney Plus? Let's see.
I'm not. I mean, and the first question is, what do they mean by reboot? Do they mean go back and do a remake with new people? Do they mean like some kind of a sequel thing? I don't actually like either idea. I certainly don't want them to remake it. It was already done. We love those characters. It's done. I don't want them to do sequels. It was ended. It wasn't the best ending, but they ended it. Story's over.
Well,
don't mess with it.
To be fair, though, when Universal made that movie, they had the idea they could do sequel movies, but then it didn't do so out of the box office.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they had Joss Whedon do his whole "I got to kill off characters," BS.
Well, that can happen. And I know the one who died was many people's favorite, but we won't discuss that here for anyone who hasn't seen it. But I doubt Whedon will be back. That was
for crying out loud. We're talking about a 20-year-old spoiler here. I'm sorry if you haven't seen Serenity yet, and you're a fan. Don't bitch at me about spoilers.
Anyway, I'm just saying maybe they were saving it for the 15-year anniversary or something. Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. So it's interesting. The Firefly movie was made by Universal because I think Universal, I'd heard this a while ago, they were desperate for their own Star Wars. They wanted a big science fiction epic type series. Remember Chronicles of Riddick? That what was made. They were hoping that would be like their Star Wars. It didn't do as well as they wanted it to. And I think Firefly, they were hoping that would take off because they had such a passionate fan base, and then that one didn't do so hot. And I think they were going to do the Lensman books as their next big science fiction thing, and then that kind of fell apart too, because that didn't even go into production after I think Scott Pilgrim did do box office. So, and now the funny thing is about this. So Firefly, the Serenity movie was supposed to be they're branching out into science fiction territory to get their own Star Wars. Now the company that owns Star Wars owns Firefly. So is that interesting? I don't know.
Well, Leia Plus Size is not excited about a Disney Firefly reboot, and yeah, I have to, and she also adds the element, it's still from Disney. So there's that lack of faith in Disney too that comes with it.
I often heard back in the day, and I'm not saying this is so, I'm just saying this is what I heard, was that Firefly had a rather fanatical fan base.
Yep.
And maybe you don't, these are the fans you really don't want to be messing with.
I would argue too that, my take on this might not be the popular one, but it was kind of a sleeper hit. Okay. There was a lot working against it. Okay. So for one thing, the pilot episode was shown out of order. So if you tuned into the first episode, you're actually seeing the second episode and you're going, I don't know who these characters are, what they're all about, nothing, and a lot of people didn't stick with it even after the first episode that they saw.
I did not understand why they didn't show the pilot. It had a good pilot, and you can't.
I don't know. Maybe someone in the stream could enlighten us. But I think there was something about the night that it was supposed to premiere. Was that the news coverage of the O.J. Simpson or something like that?
No, this was even after that. Maybe more of a 9/11 dealie. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. But something interrupted it. And so they didn't have it. And then they showed the second, and then they showed it all out of order. And it was already a short season because they hadn't commissioned a whole season. And then I guess there was other episodes that got preempted and not shown. And because it was kind of episodic, if you saw the episodes out of order, you were kind of effed. So it ended up getting canceled because it didn't have the viewership. And most people then saw it in order in the reruns.
Or even when they got it on DVD.
Or when it came out on yeah. In my case, I saw it when a buddy of mine said, you've got to see this. Here's the DVDs. Check it out. And I checked it out and I'm like, man, this is really good. Actually, my first experience with it was playing. I was actually play testing a role-playing game for it. Buddy's friend was going to be running a game at Gen Con and he just needed people to play test it. And they put me in as Mal. And I'm like, guys, I don't know these characters. I don't know the story. Don't worry. You'll be fine. And I threw out a couple lines and I threw out a line and the guy playing Mal said, actually, that's Mal or not Mal. The one playing Jane said, actually, that's Jane's line. I'm like, what? He goes, you just quoted the show, but it's actually Jane's line. And I'm like, I wasn't quoting. I've never seen this show. I was quoting an old British sci-fi series called Blake 7. Come to find out later on that Joss Whedon was inspired by Blake 7 when he did Firefly and literally did quote Blake 7 when he did the show. And in the game, I didn't even realize that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I was hooked. And then I watched all the episodes and then I watched Serenity and I was like, oh, okay, well, I could see where I would have wished that there had been more, but because I saw Serenity immediately after having seen Firefly, I was like, okay, well, I've got some closure. I'm glad I saw it,
Oh, I remember being hyped for Serenity because I had seen the series. First, I watched it on its original airing, and they really capped it short. I don't even think we got all the full last episodes. And then I was able to watch it on DVD later and finally watch the whole thing beginning to end.
Yeah.
And, Wolf 10 Media was making a point how they're called brown coats. Yeah, I did look that up. I remember it was brown coats or brown something else, but I figured it can't be that because that probably is a verboten term now. But
no, they refer to themselves as brown coats.
Well, brown coats, but I saw another term for them, and I'm not sure. Fire brony? No.
I don't know what that is. I'm afraid.
I don't know. I heard that mentioned with the brown coats. I don't know because somebody says we're not calling ourselves the brown coats anymore. And then somebody else mentioned fire brony. I'm like, this can't be real. Okay.
So I just looked up that phrase, and the only thing I'm seeing is a Reddit thread that says, "When have we ever called ourselves fire bronies?" So apparently. I think it's just a derogatory term for brown.
So this was like an insult. This is like Trekkie versus Trekker or that sort of thing.
Maybe.
I don't know.
No, it'd be more like if someone called us Trek bronies or something.
Okay.
And they were doing it in a antagonistic way. I think that's just what it looks like to me from the brief Googling that I did.
Pointy-eared weirdos. There you go. Okay, that's what I think of you Star Trek people.
Guys, I'm gonna interrupt with breaking news. Yeah. I just saw an article posted. I haven't seen the video yet. Geeks and Gamers uploaded. Luke Skywalker series reportedly being developed for Disney Plus with Sebastian Stan.
Okay.
Let's put a pin in that until next week. But I wanted to say it so that you can say you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
But it definitely sounds like a rumor.
It sounds like a rumor. Oh man!
Although think about it, they do have Sebastian Stan on contract, but he's already working on another series. So
I don't know. I think there are 100 different series.
Let's not get off on speculation. I just wanted to share it because I always wanted to do that. I always wanted, if I was going to be in news, I wanted to be the one that said breaking news. So I just did my breaking news bit. We'll pick that up next week, though.
Breaking news: Spud McKenzie got run over by a beer.
That is very, very anachronistic. That is old deep dive.
Okay, I don't know. It just popped in my head.
Nobody even knows who Spuds McKenzie is.
Yes, they do. He's a living legend.
Only old farts like us know who Spuds McKenzie is anymore. Okay. Everybody in the chat is probably going, Spuds? Does he have
Nobody knows who Spuds McKenzie is.
Is he the mascot for French fries or something?
Let me explain something to you. Spuds McKenzie was a living legend back in the day.
Yes, she was.
Oh, now you've this is going to be the Sean Connery hairpiece thing all over again. You're going to
You didn't know that Spuds McKenzie was a female dog.
Okay, can we move on?
Okay.
No one's excited. No one wants Firefly reboot.
This old deep dive nostalgia stuff. I'm gonna rip on you a little bit.
Listen to me.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Bud McKenzie, Rubik's Cube, and Freaky Freezies.
You lost me on Freaky Freezies.
Okay, I think that's what they were called. Let's move on. Okay.
This is what happens
when you're not going to question my age now.
Okay. Boomer show, guys. You got to expect this stuff once in a while.
Can we move on now? Let's do serious. Wonder Woman 1984. Come on.
Okay, so now
we're
going to switch over to Warner Brothers and DC, and we were actually starting to kind of get at this, and I don't know. I think this might be Mulan all over again.
I have to say, it's funny. I noticed that I work in a public facility that lends out materials, and I noticed that
you're not allowed to say library on YouTube anymore.
I'll say library. I noticed that we have a lot of copies of. I noticed we have a lot of copies of Mulan on the shelf, and it's the holidays. People are going to want to check it out, but apparently Mulan is not going anywhere.
Okay, for free. So, you can't give it away. That's funny.
I'm thinking, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Wonder Woman 1984 box office failure in China. Okay.
So here's what I'm hearing about
this. This is from Comic Book News. Okay.
I'm not hearing any big dust up. I'm not hearing anything about them getting offended by it or anything like that. The problem is that and you can't blame it on the COOF this time around, because all their theaters are open now and people are kind of back to normal over there. So what they're chalking it up to is there's another movie that came out same day that's Chinese made that everyone's going to see. Nobody's going to see Wonder Woman because they're all going to see this other thing.
And that was The Rescue.
The Rescue. I don't know anything about that.
They have their own blockbusters over there. I've heard of some of them, which I don't have time to get into it. They actually had the villain from Captain America: Winter Soldier was actually the villain in this Chinese box office movie, but it looked. Yeah. It doesn't look. It didn't look good. It looked like I'm not going to get into it. That's a whole.
I know not enough about the Chinese film market. All I can say is what I know, and what I know is they went to see something else other than Wonder Woman, and it's tanking.
I thought this was curious because Aquaman actually did very well in China. They say that was one of the reasons it was a big success because the Chinese loved Aquaman. Okay.
How many movies though have we had that came out that didn't do well when they were first released? They end up with a cult following later because nobody went to see it because they all went to see something else that same week, right? It happens all the time.
80s classics are filled with them. Okay.
Exactly. And that's the interesting thing, because over here nothing's being released. So if you release a crap movie, it does well because there's nothing else to go see. And yet over there, they've got a full box office over there.
Now they have their own. They have their own
over there.
Yeah, they have their own film production over there. But
plus you got that nationalism over there, where it's like, well, Chinese made. We got to support this film over the American film.
I don't know, or that, or I heard that there were complaints about some of the more recent American blockbusters over there about. I forgot what the complaints were exactly, but
well, there was
too effects laden. Maybe they
got upset about what they perceived to be a racial slur in the Monster Hunter or something like that. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. And all the movies that, anything that has to do with time travel, anything that has to do with other certain topics, the party over there won't allow. So there's that element of it. There's all kinds of things. So
yeah,
it's not a market I would want to go into if it weren't for, let's see if we can't get a few extra dollars. Let me try to sell my fourth cheeseburger there,
But what was interesting is that HBO Max paid the director and actor as if it had made $1 billion, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Gal Gadot and
let me bring up that one here real quick. So they got paid well for this, and I don't think they're going to be seeing a whole lot more of instances like this.
People are arguing so they could basically say nice things about HBO Max since they're the first ones to do this. So they got paid up front as if the movie did make $1 billion at the box office.
And what a lot of people are alleging is that the big money up front is their padding to get their endorsement on the whole HBO Max deal. But I don't know. That kind of conflicts a little bit with some of what Patty Jenkins has been saying about streaming and theaters and whatnot. So I don't even know what to make of that. But the numbers don't lie. They made that money. The movie's not doing well in China. Remember, it's being released on Christmas Day here, both in limited theatrical release and on Disney Plus. So I don't see them making their money.
Troy, did you say Monster Hunter was a time travel movie?
Did I say what?
Did you say Monster Hunter was a time travel movie?
No. That was two separate things.
Okay,
Monster Hunter had a line in it that offended the Chinese audience. Said it was racist. And I was saying that time travel movies in general, that subject is not allowed. So,
all right, but not that. Okay, because I could see how you might have got confused because there are dinosaurs in it. Okay, or dinosaur-like creatures in it. Okay, never mind. Okay.
No, I didn't know anything about what Monster Hunter was about.
It's based on a video game. It's made by the guy that made Resident Evil. Did you know that Monster Hunter, I believe, chat will probably yell at me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's actually classified, even though it's sold to Hollywood and shown in theaters. I think it's classified as a German production. Because I think there's a lot of German financing in those movies, like the Resident Evil movies and the Monster Hunter movies.
But this might be a topic for another night, but it's worth looking into. There's a lot of rules that China puts on their movies that is shaping the way Hollywood makes movies now. Like the time travel thing that is banned because they don't want people thinking, fantasizing about changing history. You got to just love history the way it is. You can't have the Chinese look bad, so you also can't glorify the American military, which is why Top Gun removed the American flag from the uniforms and all kinds of craziness that Hollywood is jumping through hoops to accommodate China with.
Interesting.
Right. Oh, thank you, Jedi Master Zootopia. China won't let you do movies about ghosts and the supernatural like that. It's just a thing they have a problem with. They had to change Luke and Yoda to force spirits in the sequel trilogy. Yeah.
If you want to ever see something interesting, you should check out the Haunted Mansion. It's different in every park around the world. And in China, it's not really a haunted mansion because they can't do spirits. But they did an interesting thing. It's about a monkey that opens up a magic box. Okay. And it's an interesting ride, actually. Yeah, it's an interesting ride, but it's not really technically a haunted mansion because, of course, they can't do that in China, you know. But
well, no, I can see though, knowing the technical aspects of how the haunted mansion is done, I could see how it could be altered to all kinds of different storylines.
Yeah, and you can see it on YouTube. It's interesting. It's actually an interesting looking ride, so I'm not faulting them there.
Oh no. And that is something very important for Americans to understand, that cultures are different. Horror movies in Japan and the US are very different. That's why when you take a Japanese horror film and remake it for American audiences, it doesn't always translate very well, and vice versa, because cultures are different. And if you can't understand that, as Hollywood can't, you end up with all these really bad missteps.
Oh yeah, people were so mad in Cabin in the Woods because there was a technical error, because there was a Japanese horror ghost in there in the one scene, but it didn't have legs, and I think Japanese ghosts always have legs or feet. I think that was the one rule.
Oh, see, and I would have overlooked that too.
Yeah,
also,
it's a minor thing. It's nitpicking, you know.
Yeah, and also when you dig into the storyline of what's happening with that ghost, doesn't make a lot of sense to American audiences. I don't know if they were accurate to a storyline for a Japanese.
Who knows? It was funny though, the scene in Cabin in the Woods, and then
because the girls,
you'll be reincarnated as a happy tree frog or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I said that's probably one of those cultural things I'm probably missing some elements about.
Yeah, I think that The Grudge, not to get out too off track, like The Grudge, Sarah Michelle, very hot. The Grudge was interesting in that they actually did get the Japanese director to make the American remake.
Yeah.
So they did bring the original director back. So I think that's why one of the more successful translated movies, and it takes place in Japan as well. So
I've heard a lot of talk about The Ring and how, although The Ring did very well and was very scary, and it's the moderate novelty of it. It was different enough from everything that had come before that American audiences could respond to it. The problem with it is, what kind of kills it is the Japanese horror doesn't always have to explain where the ghost came from, why they exist, why they do what they do. You don't need to know any of that. It's just scary. It is what it is.
Yeah, they have their own religion, their own mythology over there, and that's what they get. Just
and
ours, you know.
And so when they did The Ring over here, they had to go into the whole backstory about why this girl was a ghost and what happened to her, and And it's like, I think both movies are good, both the American and the Japanese version. But I think that also speaks to, going back to the main topic, you try doing one movie to appease both one audience, the Chinese audience and the American audience, it's not gonna work. You want to make two movies, maybe you can do that, but you're not going to make one size fits all and make anybody happy.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Artificer Joni. Not all Japanese ghosts have legs. There's one ghost that's a legless schoolgirl train accident. Yes, but that's because she was in an accident. I'm just saying the tradition is with American ghosts, you watch Ghostbusters, they don't have the legs, and it didn't matter if they had legs in real life or not. But that's interesting, though, you bring that up. Yeah. Okay, but I'm talking about Japanese horror movies. What were we talking about? We're talking about China. Okay.
Well, but really, let's get back to what we were really talking about is Wonder Woman and, it more generally DC Comics, right? Do we move on to the bigger picture for DC Comics?
We can do the bigger picture. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's start general and we'll get more specific.
Okay.
So this is from CBR. Let me just drop that. DC to reduce its publishing output in March. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, where they were saying that by summer, there was a rumor that by summer DC Comics would be shutting down their publication arm, and now we're seeing some supporting evidence that DC is going to be reducing their publishing output in March. DC is not doing well. They really aren't. And Warner Brothers is looking to cut costs. Money is a problem. So they look at what's not making money and they are cutting. And we just had all the stories over the past couple of weeks about executives being let go and talent being let go. And now they're talking about reduction in publishing in March. Guys, I'm telling you, if you want to know what's going on in the industry, go listen to Ethan. Uncle Ethan is an insider who knows the industry. He's not just blowing smoke when he opens up his show talking about how many years he was in the comic book industry and how he knows what's going on. He does. And he's been saying this all along, and it's now happening.
Yeah.
I thought it would be Marvel before DC, but it looks like it's DC. DC's on the fast track to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's reduced its publishing output in March, and he was saying by June, correct? I remember that was the original thing. That was what he had heard. And
I thought it was March. Well, no, the original thing was everything.
Now I think they're saying it's March, yeah.
But they're saying reduction in March. I don't know if they've verified to be done by March.
Yeah, and it's not looking good. And of course, the other more specific article was the Aquaman article. Remember?
Yeah. DC Comics, and unfortunately I have to type this one out because I can't copy it. Comics cancels Aquaman indefinitely.
Yes.
Indefinitely. How do you spell indefinitely?
Are you
trying to do two things at once and it doesn't work?
Are you putting these in the chat?
And this one is, well, the titles so that people can at least look them up.
Well, I am not seeing them. Okay, never mind. All right, I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm sorry.
Okay, guys, I literally just posted DC Comics cancels Aquaman indefinitely from comicbooks.com.
I'm looking now.
Is anyone seeing that? Okay, you know what? Maybe it's because I said comicbooks.com.
This is ridiculous. Okay.
Maybe let me do this.
Next week streaming.
I'll spell out .com.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody see my DC Comics cancels Aquaman indefinitely? Comicbooks.com. Nobody's even seeing that. Okay. I don't see anything. See, this is the same problem that I was having in the peanut gallery of the rewatch last night. I was posting and posting and posting, and they saw nothing I was posting.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe I should try posting the chat sometime. Okay. But anyway, it's from
and I've got a blue wrench. I don't know what to tell you.
This is very odd to me. I don't know why this is not happening. Okay.
Well, I'm not dropping anything in chat anymore, guys. Just listen and.
I'm sorry. I thought you were just reading them. I didn't realize you were also typing them in the chat. Okay. But yeah, DC Comics cancels Aquaman.
Yeah. So you know, we just got through saying they're reducing their titles. One of the titles is Aquaman, which I think is very interesting when you consider that. Don't we have Aquaman 2 coming out in the theaters or in streaming, or they're working on making or something?
Yeah.
Apparently with Amber Heard.
Yeah, I think that's their biggest series right now, isn't it? Aquaman? As far as Hollywood box office goes, right?
That is saying a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm not sure what, but it says something.
I have no idea what's going on. If
nothing else, I think it says even to support their movie franchises, they're not willing to keep their comic book publication arm alive.
Now, I know that Kelly Sue DeConnick was the one behind the latest run, correct?
Oh, well, that might explain it then. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Mystery solved right there.
Yeah, Fourth Asia has talked a bit about her on his channel. But yeah, I don't know though. But it's not just her titles; other titles too.
Look, it's not personal; it's business, right? I mean, DC Comics isn't going to cancel a title that's selling well. So if the comic book isn't selling well, it dies. Comic books in general aren't selling well. It dies. People are out of work. They let the executives go. They reduce their publication by March, including Aquaman. Rumors that they'll be closing up shop in June.
Do you think
it's everything we've been saying would happen?
Do you think the execs over at Warner Media are looking into the reasons why these aren't selling, or they just are just figuring let's just trim the fat?
If they were bothering to look into the reasons for it, I would think that they would be, instead of, reducing and whatnot, they would be maybe getting rid of people and hiring in new people. And that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're reducing. They're doing it instead of. So from a business standpoint, if you want to improve your business, you make changes. So you hire on new people, you get rid of other people, you cancel some titles, you start some new titles. Okay. If you just get rid of people and reduce, that is not a save the business decision. That is a bean counter decision. That is cut our losses.
So the bean counters have finally come for the comics over at DC.
Yep. Okay. As we'd been predicting that they eventually would.
And will they do this with Marvel, or is that a whole nother scenario?
Look, the rules of economics apply to all businesses. I always say this: you are not too big to fail. Those the same rules of physics that hold the Titanic on top of the water, is why it sinks. And so yes. The simple answer is yes. If something doesn't change over at Marvel, they will go the same way.
And Leia Plus Size says it's Marvel all over again. Captain America was at the height of his popularity. Marvel Comics kills him off, and now it's with Aquaman.
So is that the storyline? Did they kill him off in the comics? Because
that's a good question.
Because we're talking about killing off the title, not necessarily the character.
I mean, well, we don't know what that first issue will entail. Okay.
I don't know. Agent Boomer, you sounded like a 50s radio host just then, but not now. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I'll have to work on that because that might be fun.
Actually, I was going to say that sounds like that's what I was going for when I did the this just in.
This just in. No, I don't know.
Flash, okay. Mr. America, and all the
All right.
Okay. So yeah, that's what we know about Disney. Do you want to pivot to something a little bit more positive that I know nothing about, but maybe
How do you not know anything about this? Okay, we're gonna pivot over here.
Apparently there's something called Super Nintendo World Theme Park.
Yes, it's a theme park.
And
it's based on video games, but
someone or other Miyamoto.
Shigeru Miyamoto. How do you not know who this is? Have you heard of the game called Donkey Kong?
I know Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Have you heard of Super Mario Brothers?
I've never played it, but I know it.
Have you heard of The Legend of Zelda?
Yes.
Okay,
and I sort of played a little of it.
He's made those and many more. He is a genius game creator. Okay.
So
live and kicking. He invented Donkey Kong. That was him. Okay. And he hosted a little Nintendo Direct where they showed Super Nintendo Land in Japan, and I was rather floored. I mean, it's been a while since I've been floored by anything entertainment wise, but this is coming to Universal Studios in Japan, and he assured us that we will get them over here in other countries at some point. He said, of course, we know that you and America are dealing with the beer bug. He didn't say that, but he said it's due to that. But of course, they are planned to come to Universal Studios in Orlando and also in Hollywood, California. And I kept wondering too, I know that Universal, there's been this rumor or even plans that they're planning another big theme park in addition to the Islands of Adventure and the regular Universal Studios. And I'm really wondering if Super Nintendo Land is going to be a part of this new theme park they're composing, that they're kind of hush about. But you actually got to see it in this video. You got to see the preliminary of Super Nintendo Land, and it's really neat. It's like walking into a Super Mario Brothers game. I was looking at it and I'm like, I can't explain. I was just watching the video. I don't know what it'd be like to experience this in real life, but I was looking at the saying, is he like on a green screen or those like CG? Oh no, those are real. Those are in place in the background, moving around. You had like you had like Yoshi and like Goombas and Koopa Troopers, and it looks just like a Super Mario Brothers game. It's completely designed like that. And I'm looking at this, and it's like he's walking around in a Super Mario Brothers game. He went down. You go through the pipe to get into the park, and you're in Princess Peach's castle, and like they play, Princess Peach when he has to rescue in each game, and Okay, yeah, of course.
I know who that is. Sure.
Okay, and they're playing the music from Super Mario 64, and it's really neat. It's yeah, and you're wearing he's wearing a wristband around his, and you can actually bang you get
The
like
hammer?
this. No, not the hammer.
Oh,
Maybe you do. Actually, I'm not going to say no because it may be in there. Okay, you may get the hammer from Donkey Kong. I didn't think about that, but you may be there.
That might be kind of fun,
Okay.
Well,
Right.
I think that's good. I mean, it's the kind of excitement that people used to get from Disney World, and nobody's talking about Disney World these days.
Well, they haven't added a lot on, and I'll say this: Universal seems to do it more with the parks than Disney does. Now, I know Disney had the big Avatar thing they released, which I don't know if people were excited about or not. That was like the last thing I heard. That was a big deal over there. But
did it get open before the COOF, or
it did? And I don't know. I know the last thing to be open before that, I think, was Galaxy's Edge. That oh boy, Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be from the original trilogy anyway. Yeah. But no, Super Nintendo Land, they didn't even show off any rides. They just showed him apparently where these wristbands that you can actually like Mario jumps up and hits the bricks, you can actually hit your wrist on the brick and it'll add coins to like a game you have on your phone that you can do in the park and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
And like he went into a interactive like underground tunnel, and like you go into it and like it feels like you're getting smaller, kind of like how Mario gets smaller when he's going down there.
Huh,
and I get criticized because I say Mario the wrong way. It's Mario. I know.
Mario. It's a Mario.
You're the Italian American. How do you say Mario?
Mario.
Okay. All right. I came from New Jersey. They always said it Mario, but
yeah, that's only the anglicized people. Yeah, it's Mario.
Okay.
Even without exaggerating the accent, it's Mario. My grandfather's name was Mario.
But yeah, I am really looking forward to this park. They didn't even show any of the rides yet. They did show a Toad Cafe because the Toads are these people in the Mushroom Kingdom that have like mushroom heads, and like they're very cute, and they'll get to see them making food and like a hologram in the background and stuff. And
so if it's a cafe, are they serving mushrooms? I mean,
they had like a mushroom burger. They had like a pizza shaped like a mushroom. I think, I don't know. It's like the theme. It's like
actually all the things you just said make perfect sense for mushrooms. So I'm all for that.
Does Professor Geek not like mushrooms?
I don't know.
So he may not like this. Okay. But anyway, I don't know if it's all mushroom food they serve there, but it just struck me. I don't know. I remember I felt like a kid again seeing that video, and I'm like, it's because I'm
go there.
I was a big Nintendo fan growing up.
We don't have anything like that in the US.
We're getting it. They are going to bring versions of this over here because Nintendo's huge. I mean, I have a point here. This is going to be huge when it comes out. I mean, you're not that familiar with Nintendo, I think, maybe to know how big this will be. But think about it. Nintendo owns Pokemon. They could have a Pokemon section of the park. Okay. That would be cool. Yeah. They're going to have a Super Mario Brothers section. They could do a Zelda section. They can do a lot of stuff with this. Now, I keep thinking, though, that this, when it comes to the United States, is going to be part of a larger park where it's going to be like the Islands of Adventure, how you have like a Harry Potter section, a Marvel superhero section. So in this new park, you'll have a Nintendo Land section, but then another section, you'll have other things. But it reminded me of a Galaxy's Edge, like how you have like the specific things you get in the park. Like there's a Mario toy you can get.
Yeah.
I'm butchering Mario. Okay, anyway. But it looked really neat. I think it's going to be standing room only. I think this is going to be huge if we ever get this over here. Of course, they said it's been delayed due to the pandemic, but they do have the intent of bringing this over here and also the Singapore. Okay,
they're going to bring it to exactly.
What?
Where in the U.S. would they bring it to?
Hollywood, California, Orlando, Florida. They're going to be in the Universal parks. This is part of Universal. You're making a grunt.
Well, I mean, anything going to California,
I was thinking the same thing. Are you sure you want to bring it out to Hollywood, California right now?
Everybody's making a mass exodus, and they're not going to be open there for a very long time. So
maybe make Orlando your priority right now. It will be interesting, though, if like the Disney parks, if they make it different in each country.
And besides, wouldn't you prefer it be in Orlando?
Yeah, I prefer it to be as many places as possible. Yeah, Orlando's the priority.
You prefer it to be like in your backyard.
I have to tell you though, have you ever been to the Harry Potter section at Universal?
No, but I've seen it.
It was crowded. Like when it first opened, it was. I mean, it's still popular. People still flock to it. But I mean, when it first opened, it was insane. And I'm thinking that Super Nintendo Land is going to be just as big, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just neat though, because it looked like he's actually walking around inside one of the Super Mario Brothers video games, except brought to real life, and that's what I thought was neat about it. And
that is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, even not knowing as much about the games as you do, I get the idea, and I think it's brilliant.
I mean, because we've seen theme parks based on several things, but we haven't seen a ton based on like video games. And the thing about Nintendo is Nintendo does make games are you know, they are kind of a, I don't want to say family. Yeah, I will say it. It's a family oriented company. I mean, they make games that can be enjoyed by all ages, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of basically they're like the Walt Disney of video games. So like the Disney of video games. And Shigeru Miyamoto is like the Walt Disney of video games because he's created so many things. So I don't know. I felt like this is positive news because at least we get to see
again, looking at it from the business standpoint, I know that Japanese companies are very open to what do people want and what's going to make us money. So when you get what you want, and you get all excited about it, well, thank you, Japan. Because that's not how the U.S. seems to work anymore.
Melissa Harris, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, there were some scares years ago, but Nintendo tends to stay out of politics. I'll say this for the most part. I mean, of course, they waited until after the election to say you can't be running political stuff in Animal Crossing. But even with, they like to keep things child friendly, especially in the online stuff. So
and let's face it, another thing about Japanese business, they stay in control of it, and they are not big on the SJWBS.
No, and I am going to say something else too about Nintendo. Nintendo actually has no debt. Unlike a lot of other companies.
Another aspect of Japanese business that's very, very positive.
They have a lot of money in the bank too, apparently. I mean, they may not always be number one in console races, but they make a lot of money regardless, and they don't. And unlike their competition,
they don't overextend themselves. That's what's important.
And I am looking forward to this. I don't know if and when I'll ever reach this place, but it does look exciting. And I'm like I said, they haven't even shown any of the rides yet. I know they're doing a Mario Kart ride in there. Okay.
Well, that's a no-brainer. That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I mean, heck, even if you just make it an elaborate bumper cars,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a ride you sit in. So I kept thinking. I kept thinking it was gonna be like a racetrack, like you would race around and get to throw things at other people, and they crash and just. Oh, there was this really, really bad game joke. It was like an online video where like, you see Mario like run a Koopa Trooper off the road, right? Okay. And like he says, "Oh, my back!" And the Koopa says, "Oh, can't we just like settle this thing? We don't have to get the insurance involved." And then like he just the turtle's like insisting on calling like 911, and then like Mario just murders him on the spot. And, like, bites the body. That wouldn't happen in Nintendo again. That's the point, But
oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Super Nintendo world. Okay, and
no, I'd say that's very, very positive. It's nice to know that some aspect of entertainment is being spared the lefty insanity and the craziness of the coof.
I mean, knock on wood. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Okay, yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, Japan does seem to run things. They're very yeah. But what else was I going to say though?
Artificial Joni points out that Sony isn't Japanese.
They aren't. They moved their headquarters to California. That's why we're experiencing a lot of problems with them now.
Yep.
I don't even feel like getting into it. I mean,
that is a lesson learned, I suspect.
Yeah, don't go to California. That's why I'm even thinking they should skip the park. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Do we have anything else to say? I guess
I have nothing else on the docket.
Mr. Matchstick is coming up next. He does have he's doing a rewatch of the Alita Battle Angel original video animation or original animation video.
Yep, I've seen it. It's really, really good. But guys, again, I can't post links. I can't post anything. So just go over to his channel and check him out in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, keep checking out. Keep checking out the network. I know that Sound Engraver, I believe, will be on tomorrow night.
Monday, Sound Engraver. Tuesday,
Soundtracks with Birdman with me and Birdman. We're going to be doing the Home Alone rewatch. Is Green Lion Girl doing anything this week?
Sorry,
I'm first.
And that's already given thumbs up. Netter, do you know if Green Lion Girl is doing anything on Wednesday?
I know she said she was going to try to.
Okay, she said she was going to try to, so we might keep an eye out for Green Lion Girl. Of course, also on Wednesday night, Netter is doing her rewatch of the Charlie Brown Christmas special with Aged Boomer and probably myself. Thursday night is, of course, Christmas Eve. I am going to be doing a rewatch of the Rankin and Bass Little Drummer Boy. And I'm also planning to do a reading of one of my favorite childhood Italian Christmas stories.
Okay, cool.
Live in the stream. Cool. Friday, of course, is Christmas. I don't know if anything is happening on Christmas, to be honest with you. And there was talk about a Saturday rewatch by Al, but he hasn't committed to it yet, as far as I've heard.
Okay. And I know that Wolfton will have stuff going on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons this week as well. So keep an eye on his channel as well. And I think that's it. But stay tuned to the network to find out more information. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, well, everyone, you have a good night. I'm going to raise up the volume again. Keep quiet, Troy, and then we'll, unless you have anything left to say.
Nope, nothing left.
All right, I'm going to raise it so we can hear the bell crystal clear. Okay.